How everybody doing today? This is Mr. Amen, and this is a Let Them Know Media production. First, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Without further ado, the topic today is, how does the brain work? Okay? So, in modern psychology, they talk about 3 brain centers, right? But there's really 4 major brain centers. And then all 4 of those different brain centers, have responsibilities, a lot of different responsibilities, right? And so, I'm going to start from here all the way to the front. Okay, so you talking about if you touch the back of your neck, right? You can use these 2 fingers and you can touch the back of the neck, like right here. And if you touch right there, you will feel like the brain stem. The brain stem that's the place where, the spine and the brain connects throughout the body. Or should I say the nervous system and the brain connects throughout the body. The first part of the brain that connects right there at the bulge in the back of your neck and where your head is at, that's called the reticular formation. Or what we like to say, the reptile brain, right? Or the reticular formation. And then right above that, if you touch, you got this part right here. That's going to be called the limbic system. Limbic system, or what we call the mammalian brain. So before I continue with the other 2 centers, I just want to show you like how, when I say the reticular formation and when I say the mammalian or the limbic system or the mammalian brain, I'm pretty sure your mind get to thinking like reptile brain, mammalian brain, or mammal brain. So you kind of, get an idea of where I could be going with this, right? And so, right at the top is going to be the cerebral cortex. And here in the front is going to be your prefrontal lobe, right? And so what's going on is in the prefrontal lobe area is kind of like taking in new information. So when you growing up as a baby, you like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? So that comes in through the front, the prefrontal lobe. It passes down to the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is like, okay, this is what we just learned. This is how we understand it. Okay then. So then it passes itself through the limbic system down to the reticular formation. And this is how you know these things for the rest of your life, right? Because it becomes a part of you. You've accepted that what you learn is the truth through facts and not opinions. Even though opinions can be passed on too. But, that's going to be another topic for another video. So please stay tuned. But we're constantly being bombarded with information in today's society. The news, we always have our phones in our hand, or we have tablets, you know what I'm saying? Or we have laptops, or we have computers, right? And so we're constantly taking in information. And what's even crazy about it is you taking in through information through your eyes as well. And you're taking information through your ears. So what's crazy about taking in information through your ears is that you're listening even when you're not listening. Now that's crazy, right? Like you're listening when you're not listening. So you got like this background thing going on to the point where you always is taking in your environment, to make sure if there's modes of safety or fight and flight moments. So you always are listening, even if you're not paying attention to everything that you're listening to. And so this is how the brain is constantly working. You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about the reticular formation, right? When you're talking about the reticular formation, we call it the reptile brain because it's responsible for balance, hunting, fight or flight. It's responsible for all autonomy, like breathing. So you don't have to think about breathing. You're just gonna breathe, right? You're not thinking about your blood circulation. Your blood is circulating. So the reticular formation is responsible for autonomy, or your autonomous nature. So then we move to the limbic system, right? The limbic system has a lot going on. So it's responsible for mating, right? When you mate with somebody. It's responsible for the people that you hang around. You know, the connections you make through the people that you're around. So when you see different people hanging around certain kinds of people and other people hanging around other kinds, it's because the limbic system is working for them to connect that way, right? It's not because they don't like you or you don't like them. Not at least all the time, right? But when you're talking about natural gravitation, you're talking about, you know, connections like that, right? So all your emotionalism is in there, right? The way you process your emotionalism is processed through your limbic system, right? Procreation, when you procreate, all of that is responsible in the limbic system. And as far as the cerebral cortex and the prefrontal lobe, you know, I call those my conscious brain. Those are your conscious brains, right? And so just to further express on that, it's just taking in new information, and those two brains are saying to each other, okay, this is how we understand it. This is what we taking in. This is what we learning. This is what we accepting. Okay. So that's how those two brains are having a relationship with each other. Now, as far as like, you know, sight and, you know, the amygdala and, the eye of Haru that's inside of there, right? You know, those things that's going on inside, you know, I don't want to really touch down on that because that's a lot more science, a lot more biology and science and stuff. I just wanted to give y'all kind of like, you know, an understanding of how these brains work. And so what's the connection to why you need to know this? I think there's a lot of people in the world that don't understand themselves, right? And how can you understand yourself if you don't even understand how you work? I think we're so busy learning how, you know, the internet is working and how, you know, people that has any type of influence on us is working. I think we worry about that so much that we don't even know how we work. So it's really important to know how you move. That's why all 8 billion plus people on this planet have a perspective of life that is individualized to them, right? And so this is the reason why no two people look alike or even feel alike, or no two people can look at a painting and see the exact same perspective of that same painting. So once you know thyself, right? When you know thyself, you know the divine that's inside of you. When you know thyself, you can make better calculated moves, right? That's knowing the good and the bad about you, right? And so you can make better decisions knowing yourself. You can be outright who you need to be in this world without being shy. Without being shy. So, you know, knowing how you work is very key to your success. And if you don't know how you work, then you don't know what's going on in this world. You don't know how it's affecting you. You just constantly feel. Don't forget, the limbic system is responsible for that. Okay? So I'm going to be touching on this topic in another video, you know, and I'm going to dive deeper, right? But for now, I need y'all to please like and subscribe, comment, you know, and share my content. All right? Everybody have a blessed day. Peace.